to Wildwood Cottage and welcome back to Wales. Lovely to have you here. Hope you're all doing well and I hope you're all having a good week. You'll have to excuse the buzzing. I've got a bumblebee and it was in the last video buzzing around. I don't know if you heard it, but it's still around because the sun's out. Buzzing around my head. Excuse me. I gave her a plant pot with some stuff shoved in it, but she wants to nest in my wool and I can't let her because it's for a rug. But she's not gone outside, but she's just been buzzing around in the sun over there. So if I keep ducking, you know why. Anyway, how are you all doing? I hope you're all okay. Hope you're all enjoying your week. And it's so nice to be back out in the garden. Well, there's a bit of a tale to tell with the veg garden, with the Digging for Victory garden. I went to get stuck in and my mattock handles broke, and I've got two mattocks and a pickaxe and all three of them have all got broken handles. I can't get in to dig the roots in the garden that way, which all needs clearing of brambles and things, so I've ordered one off eBay. Only cost me $8.99 for a solid birch handle, so I've just got to wait for that cut to come and that will be here on Friday. I've been going through my seeds and I've been having a look at what I'm going to sow, because I've been clearing the wind, as I mentioned in my last video. I've been looking at things that I can sow in February. It may be slightly too early to sow outside in the polytunnel because we can still get a really good hard frost and some really good cold weather at this time of year. But I've cleared the window ledges in the house like I said I was going to. I've sorted out my propagators, I've sorted out my seeds, so I just need to get myself some compost. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sow them in here, and then I'm going to put the propagators in the house. I'm going to get them started to stop the mice eating my seeds. Give them also a good warmth start, because I don't want to use the electric for propagators. So they're going to go and get dotted around the downstairs of the house. I'll probably put the warmer ones in where the wood burning stove is, and then put the others outside, in the hall and in the sitting room. Sorry, my brain's not working. I've still got that buzzing going around my head. Anywho, just having a sneaky cup of coffee. It's so nice to be back out in the sunshine. After all the rain that we've had, the wind that we had, the storms that we had, it's just nice to feel like spring is in the air. There's a few things in flower in the garden, as I said. I've got crocus. My daffodils are shooting up. I think the weather's far too warm for them. They've got little flower buds, so when they come into flower, I'll show you them. I've got camellias on both my camellia bushes now, so that's really nice. And I've got some lovely buds on my fruit trees. So I think I'm going to have a good year this year. If we get a good amount of sun, some nice warm weather, I may even have some peaches or some apricots this year. So that's going to be good. I was going to get the fence posts cut for doing the borders in here today, but I thought I'd show you the seeds first and then show you my plans for in here. I've got some thoughts as to what I want to do. I've still got the cupboard in here. You're sat on the little cupboard in the middle. But yeah, I just thought I'd show you what's going to be going on in here, because I don't know whether you've seen the news. There's a lot of upheaval going on in Europe with the food supply. All the local farmers in Europe are protesting, and as I'm recording this today, they've blocked off Paris, and yeah, it's getting really desperate, because it makes you wonder what's going to happen to the food chain. And it also makes me wonder if my ration book challenge is actually going to become a way of life, and it's actually going to benefit an awful lot of people out there, because I think the supply chain could end up being affected by what's happening with the farmers. I mean, just here in the UK alone, we get our foods, even in the winter, from Portugal, South Africa, Spain, Italy, France. So we get a lot of foods imported. Poland, a lot of our fruit comes from Poland. So we get a lot of our food imported. I think there's something like 70% of our own food is imported nowadays from other countries. So it's really important, I think, now to start thinking about the Victory Garden and Digging for Victory, and thinking about how they sustain themselves during the war, and to how you can sustain yourself in these days of food shortages. I mean, I used to get called a weirdo, and I used to get called a conspiracy theorist when I used to talk about all this sort of stuff about 10 years ago. I started talking about it when I started prepping. I started prepping in my old house before I moved to Wales, when they were sending out leaflets many years ago telling people when they should have a prepared bag in case they need to leave in an emergency. Now, I was doing that before then, and I think that was probably around 2010. So I've been doing this food prepping pantry for a long time, a long time. What's that, 14 years this year? So yeah, I used to keep it under the stairs in tubs. Now I keep it in the pantry in tubs. I opened some of these split peas the other day from 2015, some bags that I'd packaged, and they were still as fresh as a daisy. So yeah, it just goes to show that a little bit at a time prepping does go a long way. So yeah, I think all that sort of thing is going to come into its own at the moment with all the supply chain problems. I mean, I was looking at my food bill today, and I'm managing to get my food every week for between £20 and £30, and that includes the stuff that I can get for free and that I can grow myself. So yeah, I've managed to slash my food bill now from £100 a week, which it was last year in December, down to between £20 and £30 a week, just by being savvy, just by thinking a little bit more, not buying any processed foods, and cooking it all myself. So yeah, it does really go a long way to think a little bit further, to think a bit further ahead. Doing a week's worth of food prep, maybe at the beginning of the week. But you know, I like to do everything from scratch. I like to do a lot of vegetarian food, so my food doesn't take a long time to cook. And the thing with vegetables is I can put it in a casserole dish, slow cook it in the oven on my wood burner. You could even do it on the top of a log burner. And I use just the same size, I use the same size casserole dish every time. And I just pack in what I can fit into that casserole dish, put a sauce with it, and that does the two of us. So you could do the same thing with an even bigger casserole dish. But I will do a video about my food prepping in another video. I might do that in the next video, because once March comes, the garden's going to get really busy. I'm going to be really busy around here, and it'll just get forgotten. So I think I'll do that in the next video if that interests you. Leave a comment in the comment section below if there's a particular thing you'd like me to talk about when it comes about prepping and getting a pantry started. And I'll show you my pantry and show you what I do, and show you the types of food that I keep in food storage that do keep me and my husband going on a continual basis. Without that food pantry, I wouldn't be able to afford the way that we eat, because everything's gone up as much as it has. I can do a lot of dried goods, a lot of dried beans, pulses, and I'm hoping that once the garden's growing, I'll be able to pick the pea pods, dry the peas, dry the beans, dry all sorts of different foods that I can use through the winter that I otherwise wouldn't have. Because at the moment, currently as it stands, since last year, I have one cucumber and a little bit about that big that came out of my polytunnel. I found that growing the hard skin variety of cucumbers, I left them on it means that they keep for longer. I left them on the vine until about November, and then when I did the video of cleaning out the polytunnel, I got rid of all the cucumbers into the house, put them in the pantry, and I've still got one left. So even cucumbers, if you grow the right variety, you can keep them for a long period of time. So yeah, I've also got my freezer back in the pantry now, instead of it being in the greenhouse, which is still sat outside in the tree. Yeah, it's now in the pantry, and I'm storing my vegetables in it. I am wondering whether to drill some small holes in the door to keep it, let the air flow, because I'm finding things are going a little bit mouldy on the outside, but I can peel them and put them in the casserole dish and make my dinner. So yeah, I thought today I'd just show you the seeds. I'll just show you a little bit in the polytunnel of what's going to be going on in here and what I'm going to be doing in here. And you know, I'm just looking in the camera and I'm thinking, I'm looking a bit thinner in my cheeks. It must be the diet. The wartime rations are going really well, by the way. We are using the wartime cookbooks every day. I'm making a soup every day for my husband to take to work, and I'm cooking a recipe out of it every night for us to eat. Tonight it's fish pie with mashed potato, sweet potato and mashed potato on the top, with carrot and turnip on the side and some cabbage. Because in the wartime book it does recommend that you have cabbage every day and you have potatoes every day, and they are your building block foods for good nutrition. So that's what I'm following. So should we have a look at the seeds, and I'll show you what seeds I'm going to be growing, and then I'll turn you around, we'll have a look at the polytunnel, and then I'll see you in the next video. So let's have a look at the seeds first. Right, so I've got one of my seed boxes out. This is all my salad vegetables. I do have another couple of tins. I've got one with flowers in, and I've got one with random seeds in, and another one with all the beans in, just specifically for like French beans, runner beans, broad beans, that kind of thing. I try to keep them all together and try to keep some sort of order with my seeds, so it makes it easier for when I want to sow. I'm not having to rummage through everything, and I can just say, oh, that's in there and that's in there. So one of the things I am going to be sowing is beetroot. I have some different varieties of beetroot. Now, under cover, you can probably start sowing these in February. If you're going to start seeds off in the house, it'll give you a head start, because it says germination is 15 to 20 days. So within the next 2 weeks, these are going to be ready to come out here and be potted on. I've also got this mixed variety here as well. I got these in Home Bargain last year, and I think they were 99p, and it's got purple, orange, white, and the little pink ones with the white centre. So I'm just going to try sowing the ones that are open. I've got a packet of Bolt Hardy, which were Gordon's, so goodness knows how long they were, so I'm going to try them. But I'm just going to do the open packets for now, see if anything comes up. If it does, great, I've got an early crop. If it doesn't, I've lost nothing, and there's still plenty of time for me to sow something else to get a harvest in March. So that's my thinking behind that. That's my sort of the way my brain's working. And I'm going to plant them in here. That's my intention, is to plant them in the borders in here, so I can get a nice early crop in here. I'll put fleece over the top to protect them from any frosts that we might get. And then this can then be my March garden in here. Everything nice and low under my seed benches, which I was talking about in my last video. And yeah, just generally be able to get a nice quick harvest before all the main event, really, seed sowing, starts on top of the benches, because once March comes, I'm going to be planting everything, my broccoli, my cabbages, my kales, my spinach, all that kind of thing. Once March comes, it's all going to be in here. Now, I was looking on Thompson and Morgan, and they're doing, just pay the postage, 9 tomato plants. Now, I could get them, but I've got my own seeds, and I'm thinking, last year I spent, I think it was £10 on tomato plants, and I hardly got any tomatoes because I got blight. And I'm thinking, I really want to try and keep my costs down this year, so I'm really going to try using what I've got at the moment. I've got organic seeds, so I can keep the seeds over for next year. So yeah, that's my plan. And also, because I've got so many seeds in here, I just think it's pointless buying any more. Just try and use what I've got already, get them sown, get them harvested, and then next year think about some new seeds. So what I might do with all the supply problems at the moment is maybe get the seeds this year, and then I'll have them for next year, but just use this year the seeds that I've got already and get them growing, because I've got packets of seeds that I've not even opened. So another one I'm going to do is broad beans. I've got 2 different varieties, and I haven't really got many left in these packets, so it would just be good just to get them gone, really. I've got, let me see, 4, 6, I've got about 12 or 13 in that one, and this one is the red variety. Just a second, throwing them all over the place. This one is a heritage variety called Crimson Flowered, and it's this one from Thompson and Morgan. So I've got those to go in, and I've also got this really good variety, extremely quick growing, gives early crops, ideal for freezing, perfect for autumn sowing, ready for an early harvest the next spring. And it's Aqua Dulce, I think it's called, and I've got about half a packet of them. So I'll probably just do half of these this month and the other half next month, and then I'll have a bit of a succession of my crops. Now, these are a great wartime bean. They grew a lot of these during the war because beans were seen as a good source of protein. So I'm going to be growing these, and also you can dry them, and then you can put them in jars, store them in jars, and cook them from dried as well as from fresh. So, and you can save the seed and use them again for next year. We're going to try doing some peas, because I've got these. These are Kelved Wonder. These are organic garden. I think these are organic seeds, and I can make successional sowings every 2 weeks, and I can get a longer harvesting period. So I remember years ago, before I had my polytunnel, when all I had was a greenhouse, and I used to think I'd love to grow peas really early, but you know, I just never had any success because of the frosts. But I did know people that did used to grow peas under cover from February. So I'm really going to have a go at these and see if I can get a nice harvest in my polytunnel in March. And then once the warmer weather comes, I can start planting them and popping them outside. So that's my thoughts with that. I've got some mange too as well. I might give them a try, because this is a really old packet. So if they don't grow, I've lost nothing. If they do, I've gained some mange too early. So that's that. The other things, these are my tomatoes. Now, as I say, I don't really want to buy them. I've got a lot. I've got plum Roma. Now, I love plum tomatoes in my cooking, so I want to do those. I've also got these beefsteak tomatoes. Now, these were new last year, and these are good till 2027. So these have got a good life expectancy on them, and there's enough seeds for 50 plants. So yeah, I've got some red pepper, some California peppers. I've got some sweet cherry tomatoes. I've got some yellow stuffed tomatoes. And I've got these ones off the Gardeners World and some chilies. So I'm going to have a go. I'm just going to do a couple of each. You can do them up until March or April, sowing them indoors. So if I do a few now, what doesn't work, I can always do again, and get them growing early, because I think that's going to be the key really to the victory garden, is getting things growing, and how you look after them. From what I've been reading, they've used the earliest opportunity for sowing their seeds and getting things going, and then they looked after them properly, and they tried to get the maximum sowing time to get the latest harvest. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it this year, is that I want to get the earliest harvest as early as I can, and the latest harvest as late as I can, and see how much of the year I can stretch it out by to get the maximum amount of food out of this space, because I do have quite a lot of garden space really for growing food when I look at it, and I just think it's going to be a really good season if I can elongate it and get it growing over a long space of time. So I'm not going to be growing fancy vegetables. I'm not going to be growing aubergines unless I've got them in here, and I'm not going to be growing fennel unless I've got the seeds. I'm not going to buy them. I don't want to waste the space, because space was at a premium for getting the maximum yield out your Dig for Victory garden. So I want to make the most of the space I've got for things that I know will grow here, I know will grow well here, and just get the maximum yield out of my garden. So the other thing I'm going to do is onions. I want to do spring onions. Everyone always used to say to me to try growing onions from seed because they were more successful than growing the sets, and I'm wondering if there's any truth in that. Now, in this packet here is the very first packet of seeds I ever bought. This one, a Johnson's onion. So I might have a go at sowing it and see if it works. If it works, I've gained. If it doesn't, I've lost nothing. I've got some spring onions. And as I say, I'm just going to grow the open packet. I've got this one from a long time ago, gosh, 2013. And this one's even older. I think this is the first packet I ever bought and never used from Wilkinson's. It says packaged in 2005 and sow by 2008. I wonder if I can get them growing. We'll have to have a go and see. But yeah, all my other packets are sealed, so I'm not going to use them. I've got leeks to go in. I'm going to sow them now because it says I can sow them indoors from January. So they're going to go in now as well. So yeah, I've got quite a few things I want to do. I want to do spinach. I want to do some chard as well and get that growing. It might be a little bit too early for cabbages. I might leave them another month. But you know, I've got plenty to be going on with because I also want to do some lettuce. I've got plenty of lettuce seeds to do. I've got some winter ones, so I might start off with them this month. I've got some rocket, I've got some lamb's lettuce, got some corn salad, lamb's lettuce. These are one of the first seeds I bought as well from Dobies. I don't know if they do the packets like that anymore. Shows how old they are. So yeah, I've got quite a few things I want to get sowing, so I want to get a move on. I'm going to do my own compost. I've got that core compost left from last year, so I thought I'd get that and mix that with some of my own compost and some old compost as well, because I've got quite a bit lying around. And yeah, just generally get the season moving, because do you know, I'm that fed up waiting around for things to start happening. I thought I'm just going to sow my old seeds and see what I get and see what happens, instead of throwing them away, because if they do work I might just sow all the peas and get them growing, and all of the onions and get them growing. So yeah, let's turn around, let's have a look in the polytunnel, and I'll just quickly show you my plans for the polytunnel and show you some lettuce that I've already got growing in a pot that I bought in Lidl. So I'll just turn you around. Right, so nothing's changed since the last video. It's still a mess, but what my plans are, all along here is going to be a raised bed down to where that bench is, and that's staying there. And I'm going to build the raised bed out of fence posts from the field. And then on this side as well, it's also going to have a raised bed. Still haven't moved my boxes. I haven't decided what to do with them yet. But they're going to have to go somewhere else. And then I'm also going to do a bed in the middle as well. Now I'm wondering if it's going to be worth doing a shaped bed there, and then a round bed here, and a shaped bed there. And I was watching a video the other day and he said always make sure you leave a space for sitting in your polytunnel. Hugh Richards said that the other night in the video I was watching. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I need to leave my bench there. I need to make the beds not so wide that I can't reach to the back. And I'm thinking of growing my cucumbers at the edges there, and just training them across at the back. And the same on this side. And I would like to do them so that they'll grow over the door on both sides, and then that way they won't take up as much space and the tomatoes will be underneath. Now I want the doors to open outwards. I don't want the doors opening inwards because it takes up too much space, and at the moment they open in. So I want to try and sort this door out so I can use this door as it is, change the hinges round and open it that way. But as you can see, I haven't done anything out there because, as I say, I'm waiting for my mattock handle. So as soon as that comes, we'll get stuck in out there and I'll take you out and show you around, show you what my plans are for out there. But this cupboard's coming out. It's not staying here. It's going to go back in the garage and be used as a tool cupboard. It's a 1960s, I think. Came from somebody local around here. I've got these boxes and I thought I could use them to sow my peas. Put some holes in the bottom. This one's already got holes in the bottom, so I thought I'd use them and pop a piece of glass over the top, because as you know, I've got plenty of glass, especially since the greenhouse went. But this door here is going to be cut in half because it's opening inwards at the moment and it's taking up a lot of space in the polytunnel, and it can't open outwards simply because it's not wide enough that way. So I need to level it off so the door will open, but then once the door's cut in half, it can open outwards and I'll have a double door. And I think that'll be a lot better, a lot better. Out here, I need to build a a stronger trellis because the wind blew my trellis down. Well, it was blowing it down, so I took it down really so it didn't pierce the plastic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to build something from here, that arch there, that over by the wall there, and I'm going to make a new arch over the front so that it's like a pergola arch, and then I can grow beans, peas, all sorts of things up there. So that's what I'm planning for there, and the same on the back side down there as well. So let's just have a quick look down here. All this here is all going to get sorted out. It's all going to get levelled off. I need to sort that step out. It's quite dangerous really. And the times I've nearly fell down that step. And this needs all levelling out along here. And then all the way down here, as I've shown you before, is going to be my fruit all the way down to the fence, that fence post there. And this is going to be an addition to the Victory Garden as well. So I'm really looking forward to getting it all done. The weather's changed, so I just want my mattock and then I can get stuck in. It did used to be waste ground. There used to be a sycamore tree just there, just here, because that's where our old septic tank drain was. And yeah, there used to be a sycamore tree on top of the drain, and the drain had never been looked after and it was blocked. So they've now given us a new pipe down to the septic tank down there, and all this now is usable space. So pretty much from the fence there to the arch there was just waste ground and hedge. The hedge used to be from there roughly to here. That was how big the hedge was, and the space next to the hedge. It was a good metre and a half wide. It was a big old hedge. So it was one of those box hedges. I did try replanting it, but it's never done anything, so I'm assuming it's not going to. But it's such a lovely peaceful day here today. There's no wind, not even a wisp. I need to clean the polytunnel plastic. It's gone green, so I need to do that. I'm not going to plant anything along here, but I am going to put things in bags along here and keep it for growing things. Because even though it won't get the sun, it'll get the sun through the polytunnel plastic. So I think for things that don't mind not having the full sun, I think they'll do all right. So yeah. So this is the lettuce I bought in the supermarket in one of my last videos. Sadly, I think the frost has had one of them, unfortunately. But there is a little bit of green coming through there. But yeah, I forgot, I didn't cover them last night because I didn't know it was going to be a frost. And the frosts had them in here. So I need to make sure I put something over them tonight. But I've got these. These are a trio lettuce I buy in Lidl, and that's what they are. But they need potting up as well. These need potting up as well. And I've got a couple of pots in mind to put them in. And then this is my Russian kale, which I've had, oh gosh, donkey's years. The seed, this keeps self-seeding itself every year. And this is the one plant I've managed to get and survive. So these are the pasties that we've got for our tea. These are the curry pasties that I've made. They've got cauliflower cut up small, leek, a potato, a sweet potato, a parsnip, some curry powder, a bit of tomato paste and a little bit of water just to steam the vegetables, to cook them down. You don't want a lot of liquid because your pasties will go soggy. I had slightly too much liquid in mine. And then the lovely Catherine I was talking to in the comments section, who's been trying to make my pastry. She's doing a lovely job. She's getting along nicely. I think it's going to be a thing for her that she ends up doing. Hope so, because she seems to be doing really well. And she said she had some pastry left over and she made some apple pastries. So that's what I've done with mine. All I've done is I've put a whole apple in, I've cut up an apple and a half roughly. And I've got 4 pasties, and all I did was just dice the apple, put in a bit of honey, a bit of honey drizzled in each one, and some mixed spice. Just cook them down in the pastry, and then I'll serve them warm with, we'll have one each warm with a bit of natural yoghurt. So that's going to be a really nice evening meal. So I'm just going to go back outside, finish my couple of jobs, and I'll see you back outside in a minute. Right, so it's just starting to get dark, and the birds are just starting to go to bed. So I think that's it for me for today. I'm going to get myself in, and I'm going to go and get on with the tea. We've got pasties for tea tonight, and some homemade chips. So yeah, I think that's about it for me for today. And I'm going to get myself in, get myself warm, and get on with the tea. So I hope you've enjoyed my video. If you have, do like and subscribe. Do hit that notification bell, and that'll tell you when I upload new videos. And I will see you in the next video. So take care. Bye for now. Bye bye.